Canary Capital just dropped amended filings for spot Litecoin and HBAR ETFs, and analysts are saying we're at the goal line. Bloomberg's Balchunas calls this the last thing updated before go time. Meanwhile, HBAR is already breaking out with analysts eyeing a massive run to $1. So are we about to witness the next wave of altcoin ETFs that could completely reshape this market, or is this just another regulatory tease that leaves us hanging? Let's break it down. What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I cover everything crypto, from market breakouts to institutional moves that actually matter. Do me a favor, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next big story. Trust me, you're going to want to be early on this one. So, here's what's happening. According to recent filings made on October 7th, Canary Capital has submitted S1 amendments for both their spot Litecoin ETF and their Hedera ETF. These aren't preliminary drafts anymore. These are the polished, final stage documents. We're talking tickers confirmed, LTCC for Litecoin, HBR for Hedera, sponsor fees locked at 0.95% for both, custody handled by the big players, BitGo and Coinbase, net asset values calculated daily at 4 p.m. Eastern Time using aggregated exchange data. Everything's buttoned up. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wait, didn't the SEC miss the deadline on the Litecoin ETF because of the government shutdown? Yes they did. But here's the thing, Canary didn't sit around waiting. They kept pushing forward, and now these amendments suggest they're making final preparations for approval the moment the SEC gets back to normal operations. That's strategic, that's aggressive, and honestly, that's exactly what you want to see from a company that's serious about getting these products to market. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, because there's a lot riding on this, and the situation isn't as simple as just filing paperwork, getting approval, and then watching coins moon. First off, that 0.95% fee, it's expensive, especially when you compare it to the 0.2 to 0.5% range we've seen with spot Bitcoin ETFs. Bloomberg ETF analyst Balchunas himself called it pricey. And honestly, he's not wrong. But here's where it gets interesting. He also points out that this fee is pretty standard for first-of-its-kind, niche digital asset products. When you're pioneering a new category, you charge a premium. Early adopters pay more. That's just how it works. Still, will investors bite at that fee level, or will they wait for cheaper alternatives to hit the market once competitors see Canary's success? That's the gamble. And it's a real one, because if these ETFs launch and demand is weak, it sends a signal to the rest of the market that maybe altcoin ETFs aren't the goldmine everyone thinks they are. Then there's the regulatory uncertainty. Sure, Nasdaq has already filed the corresponding 19B-4 forms to list both funds. That's a huge green flag. It shows institutional readiness and confidence. But the SEC, they're still operating under shutdown constraints. Nobody knows when they'll resume full operations. And while analysts like Seyffart are saying both ETFs are at the goal line, victory in sight, we've been at goal lines before in crypto that turned into multi-year regulatory battles. Remember the years of Bitcoin ETF rejections? Yeah, I do too. So the tension here isn't just about approval timing, it's about whether the market is actually ready for altcoin ETFs, and whether investors will embrace these products the way they embraced Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs. And get this, analysts are predicting approval odds of over 90% once the SEC resumes operations. 90%. That's not wishful thinking. That's based on the strength of these filings, the institutional backing, and the regulatory positioning of both assets. Canary didn't just throw these applications together. They've been building toward this for months. The HBAR ETF traces back to an initial filing in November 2024, and they launched a private HBAR trust for accredited investors a month before that. The Litecoin ETF entered the SEC's review cycle in early 2025. This has been a methodical, calculated push. So yes, I think we're about to see these approvals happen. And when they do, the floodgates open for other altcoin ETFs, because once Litecoin and HBAR get approved, every other major altcoin with strong fundamentals and regulatory clarity is going to line up for their shot. We're talking Solana, Cardano, Avalanche. The entire Layer 1 ecosystem could get ETF products within the next 12 to 18 months. Now, let's talk about what this means for HBAR specifically, because while the ETF news is huge, the price action is even more exciting. Hedera is drawing serious market attention right now after breaking out of a prolonged consolidation phase. According to analyst Jesus Martinez, HBAR could be eyeing a move toward $1. And honestly, when you look at the chart, it's not a crazy call. Martinez shared a chart that shows a clear breakout from a multi-week consolidation pattern. We're seeing expanding volume, strong bullish candlesticks, and textbook signs of renewed buyer dominance. After the initial surge, HBAR entered a short period of sideways consolidation just below the breakout level. That's not a bad thing. That's actually healthy. It's a retest of the breakout zone, allowing the market to absorb gains and build support before the next leg up. Historically, and I've watched this play out dozens of times across different markets, these consolidations after breakouts often precede continuation rallies. As long as buying pressure stays consistent and resistance levels flip into support, you get another push higher. And right now, HBAR is setting up beautifully for exactly that scenario. Let's look at the fundamentals for a second. Hedera maintains a market cap of approximately $9.2 billion, daily trading volume, over $300 million. Those are big numbers. This isn't some micro-cap altcoin pumping on speculation. This is a top-performing large-cap asset that's been fueled by increasing ecosystem activity and renewed investor sentiment across the Layer 1 sector. That's real demand, real money flowing in. Despite the recent pullback, and yes, there has been some cooling off, HBAR remains comfortably above its June-July support base. That's where the prior accumulation phase began. As long as it holds that base, the broader structure could form a sustained bullish channel. The next major resistance zone, around 30 to 32 cents. If we break through that, we're looking at a clear pathway toward higher psychological levels, including that $1 target Martinez is projecting. So, what we're seeing here really reflects market indecision. But at the same time, it's also a potential setup for trend continuation if buyers re-emerge near support. The Chaikin money flow indicator is sitting at negative 0.04. That basically indicates light selling pressure and limited capital inflow. It's mildly negative, which suggests buyers have momentarily stepped back after the breakout, but it doesn't indicate aggressive distribution or panic selling. If the CMF moves into positive territory, meaning money starts flowing back in, that would definitely strengthen the case for renewed upside. The MACD is showing mixed momentum. We've got a slightly positive histogram at 0.00119, but the main MACD value is still negative at minus 0.00216. This is a neutral to cautious market phase where neither bulls nor bears have firm control. Traders are watching closely for a bullish MACD crossover, which would serve as early confirmation of another leg higher. All the pieces are in place. Here's my take. If the HBAR ETF gets approved, and I think it will, you're going to see a massive surge in institutional interest. And yeah, maybe even that $1 target isn't as crazy as it sounds. Same story with Litecoin. It's been overshadowed by Bitcoin and Ethereum for years, but an ETF approval would be a massive catalyst. Litecoin has always been the silver to Bitcoin's gold, but it's never had the institutional product backing to really shine. That changes with this ETF. And when it does, I expect we'll see capital rotation from Bitcoin profits into Litecoin as investors hunt for higher upside potential in undervalued assets. The broader narrative here is that we're entering a new phase of the crypto market. We've gone from crypto is a scam to Bitcoin ETFs are acceptable to maybe altcoin ETFs make sense too. That evolution doesn't happen overnight. It takes years of regulatory battles, institutional pressure, and market maturation. But we're here now. And Canary Capital is leading the charge. So that's the story. Litecoin and HBAR ETFs are on the verge of approval. Analysts are saying we're at the goal line. HBAR is breaking out with legitimate targets toward $1. And the entire altcoin ETF landscape could be about to explode. This is one of those moments where you want to be paying attention, because if you blink, you might miss the setup of the year. If you enjoyed this breakdown, go check out my other videos on my channel. And seriously, hit that like button if you found this valuable. Drop a comment below with your thoughts. Are you bullish on HBAR? Do you think these ETFs get approved? Let me know. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Quick reminder, none of this is financial advice. Crypto is volatile, risky, and you should never invest more than you can afford to lose. Always do your own research. I'm just here to break down the data and give you my analysis. Stay safe out there.